It's that time of year where the teams that start to look not the greatest might be looking to sell, and the trade rumors are hot throughout the NBA. And the Boston Celtics are in the midst of maybe getting some upgrades in the backcourt for their bench. We'll be exploring 3 possible trades that the Celtics could be looking at, some teams that could be selling some of their guards, and how they can help improve the Boston Celtics backcourt. All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we get into those trades, I want to say shout out to you guys, and if you guys want to make sure you enjoy Boston Celtics content, daily uploads, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the family. We just hit 2,400 subscribers, and we're on our way to get to our goal of 3,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to make sure you guys enjoy Boston Celtics daily content, hit that subscribe button and enjoy the family. But let's get into the news at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack, as this is going to be a jam-packed episode talking about some Boston Celtics trade targets. And we're going to be talking about 2 teams that we could be looking at the Chicago Bulls, and we're going to be looking at the Washington Wizards, as those teams have not started off the greatest and could be looking to sell at the trade deadline. And we got a post here from Celtics blog from Ben Dupont. I want to say shout out to him for creating this so that we could go over these trades. But he's got some possible trades, some trades that you guys have even recommended in the comment section down below. So let's look at these trades here. The first one we're going to be looking at is guard Alex Caruso, where the Boston Celtics would receive Alex Caruso and the Chicago Bulls would receive Payton Pritchard, Luke Kornet, Oshae Brissett, and a first-round pick. Note that this trade could not be completed until late December because Brissett was an offseason pickup for Boston. Caruso is undoubtedly an upgrade over Pritchard. Through the third-year guard has had a pretty good year just so far for the Boston Celtics, but Boston is already pretty thin up front. Kornet and Brissett aren't untouchable. How comfortable are you with Neemias Queta and Lamar Stevens making up the front court depth behind injury-plagued Kristaps Porzingis and a 38-year-old Al Horford? Besides, Chicago probably wants more for Caruso, and other contending teams like Philadelphia and Miami have more to give. Caruso doesn't make sense for Boston right now without getting creative. More on that later. Another Bull, though. So we want to be talking about this trade, breaking down how the Celtics could get Alex Caruso. I know a lot of fans have already said in the comments that they would love Alex Caruso on the Boston Celtics. I've said it before, and Josh and Isaac made a video not that too long ago talking about how Alex Caruso would be a nice fit for the Boston Celtics. Ultimately, though, I do have to agree. I think other teams would have a better package, and if you're the Boston Celtics, if we want to look at this package once again, we can see Payton Pritchard, obviously for Alex Caruso, makes sense, but Luke Kornet and Oshae Brissett, they are movable pieces for the Celtics, but unlike the Celtics, they are very thin at the front court, like Ben says. He says that Kristaps, Porzingis, and Al Horford are the only pieces. Neemias Queta has been solid for the Celtics. Lamar Stevens, we haven't seen too much. So I would expect the Celtics to get a bolstered up piece in the front court if they were to get Alex Caruso in this trade. I think it would help out the Boston Celtics, but ultimately, I don't think it is the best player that the Celtics could go after in these videos. Let's look at the next target that he wants to bring up, and this is another guard on the Chicago Bulls, and he brings up bringing in Jevon Carter from the Chicago Bulls. And in this, he says that the Boston Celtics would give up 2 second-round picks, and since Jevon Carter fits in nicely to the Grant Williams TPE, the Boston Celtics could use that to move off of with those 2 second-round picks and can land a nice guard in Jevon Carter. Ultimately, I really like Jevon Carter. I think he'd be a great fit for the Boston Celtics. I kind of think he would be a nice addition like Derrick White was to the Boston Celtics not too long ago. I know when Derrick White came over here, not a lot of fans knew what Derrick White could do, and he kind of did everything for the team. And as we've seen, without Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart this season, Derrick White has stepped up on both sides of the ball and been consistently probably the best Celtic this season, offensively and defensively, contributing and doing whatever is necessary for the team to win. And I think Jevon Carter brings that center mentality as well. Ultimately, though, even though if the Celtics were to bring in Jevon Carter, I think it'd be a great piece to put next to Payton Pritchard, as Payton Pritchard could be more of a spot-up shooter on the arc, while Jevon Carter can, ball handle and actually find him to make those plays. I think they could work pretty nicely. And Jevon Carter, again, does everything. He's a great defender. He's a great mid-range shooter for them. The only problem is he is playing for the Chicago Bulls, and he is getting some good looks. I don't know if the Chicago Bulls would want to move off of a guy like Jevon Carter, especially just for a TPE and 2 second-round picks. I think Jevon Carter could be a nice piece for the Bulls for their future and their rebuild if they want to continue to keep him. But ultimately, I think this would be a steal for the Boston Celtics if they were to go after a guy like Jevon Carter. I think he would fit in greatly with this Celtics team. And the next trade we're going to be looking at is another way to get Alex Caruso, and this is with getting Otto Porter Jr. So if you guys don't know, you guys can see here. However, if the Celtics were dead set on acquiring Caruso, they could get creative. Traded player exceptions can be combined with other salaries in a deal. However, a deal for a player acquired via an exception can be aggregated with other player salaries 60 days after the initial trade is completed. Boston could try to get the highest salary possible with the exception right away and then combine that player with another to make an addition. So we have until December 10th to make that kind of deal, and that's when we'd have to make it 60 days away. So the largest attainable and fitting salary is Otto Porter Jr., who plays 12 minutes per game for the Raptors. A second-round pick should be enough to get Porter to Boston, and then a caruso trade would be much more plausible in 2 months, and it could look like this. Otto Porter Jr. and Payton Pritchard, and a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks for Alex Caruso. So he feels that this trade is more suitable for the Chicago Bulls as we're giving up more. Obviously, the Celtics would have to trade their Grant Williams TPE with the second-round pick to get the Otto Porter Jr. TPE, but then using that TPE, they would add it with Payton Pritchard and some more value to get a better deal. In this deal, Boston would flip newly acquired Porter for Caruso, letting Pritchard and the pick be the main incentive for Chicago to bite. Who knows if the pick compensation would be enough, and Chicago probably won't get to first, but they might favor a package that includes a more promising young player than Pritchard. Boston could also try to work Andre Drummond into this deal for his rebounding and rim protection, and now that would require moving another low salary player. This might not be moved to the Celtics squad. Improving in the margin without expanding too much capital should be their priority, and this deal doesn't fit the bill. So as you can see, getting Alex Caruso in that deal would be a little bit more creative and be better for the Boston Celtics, as they would have to give up, Payton Pritchard, even giving up more value. They would still have a great player and Alex Caruso on their team, and it would be a little bit better. But for the Chicago Bulls, they get a little bit more incentives with getting Pritchard and getting a TPE as well. Ultimately, though, I think more teams can offer better packages. Like he said, teams like Miami, teams like Philadelphia, they're going to have more movable contracts and better players for the Chicago Bulls that they're going to want to take on than I think just a dead TPE. So ultimately, I don't know if Alex Caruso will be on the Boston Celtics, but I would love to see him fit. But the last player that we're going to be looking at that the Celtics could get is Delon Wright from the Washington Wizards, and this is going to be using the Otto Porter Jr., TPE, and Dalano Banton. And he says that Boston could get Delon Wright, a career 35% from three-point shooter, without giving up Pritchard. Allowing head coach Joe Mazzulla to pick from Pritchard and White off the bench would be a luxury, particularly if Pritchard is being picked on defensively. 3 second-rounders is a decent haul, but Boston has a glut of second-round picks, including at least 2 in the 2024 draft. Important caveat, it's entirely possible that Brad Stevens is content with the Celtics guard rotation, plus the luxury tax penalties of adding more than $6 million in salary could be up more than $20 million. That's a big commitment from ownership for a backup guard, and there are other question marks in the roster. Who, for example, will fill in for Porzingis and Horford have to sit? Can Sam Hauser be the only reliable forward off the bench? Personally, I think that Sam Hauser can be that reliable forward off the bench. We've seen him dominate so far for the Boston Celtics and be that spark plug for and be the third best forward for this team. So ultimately, I think he can be that guy, and I think making this trade would also help out the Boston Celtics, similar to a Jevon Carter deal, where you have Pritchard not being the primary ball handler off the bench and getting some luxury to kind of be a spot-up shooter like he was in recent years, and you can kind of have him and Hauser be the 2 shooters on the bench unit, with having a guy like Delon Wright or even a guy like Jevon Carter being that playmaking guard. I think that fits a little bit better. Obviously, with Alex Caruso, you're going to have that as well, but you would have to give up Payton Pritchard to get that. In these 2 other trades with Jevon Carter and with Delon Wright, you don't have to give up Payton Pritchard, and I think that's more valuable for the Boston Celtics. If we want to look at the stats for all 3 of these guys, you guys can see Alex Caruso is averaging 9.7 points, 3.3 total rebounds, and 2.3 assists off a 54% field goal shooting, 47% from the 3, and 77% from free throw. He's obviously a clear dominant piece for the Chicago Bulls and is an interesting piece for a lot of teams to be interested in. Obviously, Jevon Carter, a little bit low in numbers, 5.5 points, only 0.6 total rebounds and 1.2 assists, shooting, only 40% from the field, 36% from 3, and 0% from free throw. But that is still someone that could be a solid piece for the Boston Celtics as a backup guard to just, do the little things, kind of like how Derrick White does and how Horford does, get the rebounds, play the assists, play really hard in defense. That's what the Celtics would need from this backup guard to play alongside Payton Pritchard. And then if we look at Delon Wright as well, he averages 5 points, 2.5 total rebounds, and 4.4 assists. Obviously, he's on the Washington Wizards, and he is a veteran guard, and the Washington Wizards are a young team, so they're not really playing Delon Wright, so he could be easily accessible for the Boston Celtics to get. And he's had some stints with the Detroit Pistons where he's actually looked like a solid backup point guard, so on a contending team, I think he would be a solid piece. Ultimately, for me, if I had to rank all 3 of these guys, I would rank the Boston Celtics getting Delon Wright first, as I think it makes the most sense, and I think he would be the easiest attainable with giving up the least amount of stuff. Then I think Jevon Carter would be a nice addition as well. I would rank him second. And lastly, I would rank Alex Caruso, as I think it is the most difficult. Even though I think Alex Caruso is the best player out of all 3 of these, I think it would be the most difficult to get. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think, what would be the best option for the Celtics to get out of all 3 of these players. And if you guys are still not subscribed at this point in the video and you guys are enjoying this Boston Celtics content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we would greatly appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. Peace out.